everyone, Chris here, and welcome to my channel. For today's 5 on Friday, I'm going to bring to you my 5-star prediction reading vlog. I think this is round like 6, maybe 7, and I have made some progress. I have finished 2 books for this round of 5-star predictions, and they are both middle grades and were both part of my middle grade magic TBR. So the first up is Eva Evergreen, Semi-Magical Witch, and I gave this book 4.5 stars. In this book, we're following Eva, who dreams of becoming a novice witch, but the problem is she only has a pinch of magic. So she's worried she doesn't have enough magic to actually qualify, but manages to get a chance to prove herself and ends up going to the town of Arturi, which she needs to somehow aid with the very little bit of magic that she has. And one of the ways she chooses to do this is to open up a repair shop and use some semi-magical fixes to help this town. So this thing was missing just that one thing that would give it 5 stars. I really loved Eva, and I loved getting to see her come up with practical solutions that combined the little bit of magic she had with regular kind of repairs and kind of simplified the process, and how she didn't let the fact that she didn't have as much magic as other people kind of hold her back. I love how hard she fought for her dreams, and I really enjoyed getting to see her go off on her own and not kind of be propped up by her family and go to Arturi and try to figure things out for herself. Though that's not to say that she was alone, because she definitely made some very good friends while she was in Turi, and I love seeing those relationships grow and seeing how Eva relates to these people who don't have magic and how supportive they are of her and how important having supportive friends can be. This book also set up the next book really well, and I really would like to read the next book in the series sooner rather than later, because I want to know what's going to happen to Eva next and her friends next. And it was missing that one thing that would have given it the 5 stars, but overall, I really love this book. And then the other book I've read is The Castle of Tangled Magic by Sophie Anderson. This book also got 4.5 stars. It again was missing that thing that would make it 5 stars. So in this book, we're following a young girl named Olia who lives in this amazing castle and ends up finding out that there is magic here. And unfortunately, there are storms that are threatening to destroy the castle, and the magic has something to do with that. So Olia ends up having to embark on a journey to try to stop the magic from destroying the castle. This is another one where I really love that our main character kind of goes off on a journey, and we get to see her kind of stand on her own and come into her own self-confidence and realize just how capable she is, but also doing so with the support of friends that she makes along the way. I love Sophie Anderson's writing and the way she brings a world to life. And while her series are standalones, there are Easter eggs, at least to the House with Chicken Legs in this one. I believe I had heard that there were to The Girl Who Speaks Bear, but if there was, I missed them. And I like that they're kind of subtle enough that if you haven't read those books, you don't feel like you're missing anything. Like, I know what the references to The House with Chicken Legs are because I've read that book. I picked up on it. But if you had never read The House with Chicken Legs, it would have meant absolutely nothing. Like, it wouldn't have made you feel like you were missing a chunk of the story. So I really like how Sophie Anderson has kind of tied her world together, but isn't necessarily writing a series where you have to read the books in order. Because I would also argue that if you've read The Castle of Tangled Magic, and then you were to read The House with Chicken Legs, The House with Chicken Legs would have an Easter egg for The Castle of Tangled Magic. So it's very interesting how she's kind of set her world up, and I really like that. But like I said, it's missing that one thing that would just tick it over into 5-star territory. But I still really loved it, and I think that it is definitely a new favorite, even if it didn't quite get 5 stars. And I would highly recommend both of these books if they sound at all interesting, because I really did love them both. They just weren't quite 5 stars. And I think that means that so far this has been a pretty successful round. I mean, I still have 3 books to go, and hopefully I will be reading them sooner rather than later. But even if I hate all 3 of them, to find 2 new 4.5-star books, which means I absolutely love them, means there's no way this round can fail. So very excited to the start of this round. 2 new middle grade favorites, and yeah, I will check back in with you when I have read either, what was it? Lady Takes the Case, The Martian, or Forging Silver into Stars. I think that's what it's called. And those are the other 3 books that I need to read. And I do plan to get to them this month. So this is going to be a probably shorter vlog because I'm kind of reading them more in a condensed time frame. So we shall see how it goes. And yeah, hopefully I will love those 3 as much as I've loved the first 2. So I thought I would check in because I have finished 2 more of my 5-star predictions. First up, I finished Lady Takes the Case by Eliza Casey. And I gave this book 4.5 stars. This is a historical fiction mystery set in 1912 in England. And we're at Danby Hall with Lady Cecilia Bates. And her family seems to be in financial trouble. And they feel that the solution to that is this American heiress named Annabelle. And when she comes to visit, they're hoping to pair her off with Lady Cecilia's older brother. But unfortunately, at a dinner, somebody ends up getting poisoned and dying after drinking from a glass that was meant for Annabelle, which puts everything in jeopardy. And Lady Cecilia, along with Annabelle's maid and her cat, Jack, end up investigating the murder and trying to put the pieces together to figure out what happened, try to protect Annabelle, and try to save Lady Cecilia's family. I really enjoyed the atmosphere in this book. I really liked the relationship between Lady Cecilia and Jane, Annabelle's maid, and how that developed and how they both kind of went about trying to solve this crime and their reasons for wanting to look into it. I enjoyed the atmosphere of Danby Hall and the characters we get to meet there. I did figure some stuff out, which is why this isn't getting 5 stars, but I thought it was a solid start to the series, and I definitely plan to continue on with it at some point. Even if it didn't quite reach that 5-star range, 4.5 stars is still a really good rating. And then the other of my 5-star predictions I read is Forging Silver into Stars, and this one did get 5 stars. So this is the first book in a spin-off series of the Cursebreaker series by Bridget Kemmerer. And we're following 2 new characters who live in a small village, and one of them runs a bakery, which is Callan, and she is taking care of her younger sister. And the other is a boy named Jax who works at his father's forge, and he is missing a foot. And they both are kind of struggling. And I can't really explain more than that without spoiling some stuff from the Cursebreaker series, but we end up seeing Kaylin and Jax meet a character from the Cursebreaker series, and this book takes place after the events of the 3rd book in that series, so I don't want to say too much more about what's going on. Other than that, we're following these 2 new characters along with a character we met in the Cursebreaker series, and seeing some events unfold in the aftermath of the Cursebreaker series, though there is definitely a time jump in this book, I think like 4 or 5 years. So I really enjoyed this book. I flew through it. I didn't want to put it down. I love the way Bridget Kemmerer writes. And I know a lot of people really loved the first book in the Cursebreaker series, and then their enjoyment just went like this. And I totally understand that. I still enjoyed it, but I definitely can say that my enjoyment of the series kind of went down. And I know one of the reasons that was, I don't think I can explain it without spoilers. Hang on. Let's see. We're going to make a little piece of paper that I'm going to go like this. If I can get it to unstick. See, it says spoilers. So I'm going to hold this up with the spoiler tag on it. And I will remove this when I'm done. So if you don't want to hear spoilers for the Cursebreaker series and a bit for this, then yeah. So one of my biggest problems with the Cursebreaker series was that I got really attached to Gray and did not like Ren. And I liked him more in book 1 and less in book 2 and even less in book 3. And that was part of why my enjoyment went down, especially considering I wanted Harper to end up with Gray and not Liamara. And of course, that's not what happened. No. Because I wanted Harper to end up with Gray and not Ren. And I didn't want Gray to end up with Liamara. I wanted him to end up with Harper. I said that a little backwards. So that was one of my issues. And I find that a lot with love triangles, is that I always seem to want the person to end up with the person they don't end up with. But I digress. I didn't like Ren as a character. And one of the interesting things in this book is that I preferred Ren to Gray. Because we do see both Ren and Gray in this book. And shockingly, I much preferred Ren in this book and was really, really annoyed with Gray. So that is such an interesting dynamic and makes me very invested in wanting to read book 2 because, well, I wasn't expecting it. So yeah, we're going to remove the spoiler tag now if I can get it off the book. There we go. Spoiler free from now on. I'm going to mention that it has definitely got some major spoilers from the Cursebreaker series, but only kind of minor ones from this one. So if you've read Cursebreakers and you don't mind some slightly spoiler-ish things, then you might be fine. But I totally understand if you just totally skip that spoiler part. I was really pleasantly surprised by this book because of how downhill it went with Cursebreakers, but I really enjoy the character from the Cursebreaker series that we follow, and I enjoy Kaylin and Jax, our new characters, and I'm very intrigued as to where things are going to go in book 2, so I can't wait to get my hands on that, even though I think I have at least a little bit of a wait, because I think this just came out. Was this the one I just got? No. The one I just got was Defend the Dawn, which is the second book in her Defy the Night series, so maybe I don't have as much of a wait as I think I do. I don't remember when I got this. I just know it was for my last haul, which would have been June at the latest. So yeah, I think this came out in June, now that I'm thinking about it. So hopefully not too long of a wait, but probably a longer wait than I want because I really, really want to read book 2 now. So that's where I'm at. I only have The Martian left, and I'm hoping to get to this sooner rather than later. We'll see. I'm hoping to get to it before the end of September, but it might have to roll over into October. But we're getting this close to being done with this round of 5-star predictions. And so far, I've had 3 4.5 stars, I believe, and 1 5-star. So really, really good round. Very happy with my choices. And I have high hopes for this one, so we shall see. And when I finish that, I will check in with you. So it has been quite a while since I've checked in with this. It is actually now December. I had hoped to wrap this vlog up and post it in October, and then it just didn't happen. I just kept putting this book off because it was one I was really excited about, and I felt I kind of needed to be in the right headspace to want to pick it up, and that's because the last book I had to read was The Martian. So I went into this book blind, which my reasoning for that was I went into Project Hail Mary blind, and it was one of my favorite books I read last year, and I think it might actually be my favorite book I read last year because we're now at the end of 2022, and I still think about it. So I really thought it would be fun to go into this one blind and have no preconceived notions about what was going to happen and what our character was doing. I ended up giving this book 4.5 stars. So in this book, we're following a man named Mark, who is part of Ares 3, which is a Mars mission that goes awry. And he ends up getting trapped on Mars and has to figure out how to survive when he has no ability to get off the planet. His crew is gone, and he's got no way to communicate with Earth that he's still alive. And he knows they wouldn't have left if they had thought he was alive. So he knows his crew thinks he's dead, which means Earth thinks he's dead. This was fascinating. I really, really, really enjoyed this book and getting to see the trials and tribulations of Mark's time on Mars and the creative solutions he came up with to keep going. The reason this didn't get 5 stars is because there was a little too much science talk for me, which I get that the author probably wanted to make sure that like all of his details were exact and kind of explain it and show that Mark really knew what he was talking about, but it went right over my head, so I didn't necessarily enjoy those parts as much. It had some amazingly funny moments. There are several moments in this book that made me laugh out loud, including one where he talks about duct tape being magic, because it is a running joke in my household that if something is broken, 99% of the time it can be fixed with a little bit of duct tape. And apparently that holds true in this book on Mars. So I really, really, really enjoyed the humor, and I enjoyed the way the story kind of came together. Like I said, I enjoyed Mark's journey and seeing how he figured out a way to manage this situation, because it wasn't just, how do I survive in the sense of how do I get in contact with Earth? How do I get off of the planet? How do I find food? It was also a bit of seeing how does he get through the mental part of just being there. So 4.5 stars. Really, really enjoyed this. It was just not quite the 5-star I was looking for. So it's been a while, like I said at the beginning of this clip, but I figure it's better late than never. So I'm going to run through the other books. I know you've just watched the clip, but for me, like I said, it's been a while. So like I said, Martian gets 4.5 stars. I read Eva Evergreen, Semi-Magical Witch by Julie Abe, and I gave this 4.5 stars. I read Lady Takes the Case by Eliza Casey, and I gave this 4.5 stars. I read The Castle of Tangled Magic by Sophie Anderson and gave that 4.5 stars. And then I read Forging Silver into Stars by Bridget Kemmer and gave that 5 stars. I think this is easily the most successful round I've ever done in 5-star predictions, because I have 4.5 stars and 1 5-star. An amazing round. I loved all of these books. I recommend all of these books. I also like that they were very eclectic, because we have like a sci-fi, we have a middle grade fantasy, a adult historical fiction mystery. This one is also middle grade fantasy, but it's very, very different to Eva Evergreen. And then we have a YA fantasy. So very, very eclectic mix. And I think it worked out really, really well for me. So that's it. That's all for this round. Hopefully every round can be at least this successful, but based on past rounds, that's probably not always going to be the case. But what can you do? It's an educated guess, and sometimes you're right and sometimes you're not. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this video up here because it's long overdue. It is technically the day I'm hoping to post this video. We'll see if it happens. And if I don't wrap it up, I can't edit it. So, with that being said, all of my social media is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me star emojis, like this video, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!